At every corner brazenly you say you are wit, but looking at your deeds there is no wit conceived. What do you know about the passive aggression or about satire if you have never read Ivan Krylov? Let's learn more together. Stay with me. Hello and welcome to our 5 minutes with Ekaterina Russian poetry. Today let's talk about Ivan Krylov, who was born in 18th century but whose words are still quoted now and they all became the folk sayings. Sometimes you even don't know where the saying delivers from, but then you realize that it's one of the fabulas written by this great poet. Surprisingly enough, he thought that he should become a good playwright, and that was the career he was pursuing starting from the age of 14. Exactly then he wrote his first play, which a little bit later he would sell to a publisher, but it would never published or played at stage. And a long years after, he was trying to write something good, something to make the audience laugh or to make the audience think. He wanted his plays were played on stage, but he actually never managed. For a short early years, he was working at some kind of governmental service, but then he quit his job and became a home tutor for a very noble man, which was the Count Orlov. And staying for years there, he was teaching his kids, and after this he went back to Russia. They were abroad at the time. After that he went back to Russia, and only when he was 40 years old he started to publish small fabulas, which became so famous immediately that he stopped writing his plays and concentrated fully on them. Let's read together the one which is the best according to all critics and which is also now the same. Мартышка к старости слаба глазами стала, а у людей она слыхала, что это зло еще не так большой руки, лишь стоит завести очки. Очков с полдюжины себе она достала, вертит очками так и сяк. То к теме их прижмет, то их на хвост нанижет, то их понюхает, то их полижет. Очки не действуют никак. Тьфу, пропасть, говорит она, и тот дурак, кто слушает людских всех враг. Все про очки лишь мне налгали, а проку на волос нет в них. Мартышка тут с досады и с печали, а камень так хватило их, что только брызги засверкали. К несчастью, тоже бывает у людей. Как не полезна вещь, цены не зная ей, невежда про нее свой толк все к худу клонит. А ежели невежда познатней, так он ее еще и гонит. This fabula was written in 1815 when Ivan Krylov was 46 years old. At the time he was working at the main library as the person responsible for Russian literature, and he had plenty of time to work writing himself. He was famous at the time, and it's interesting that before he became famous in his early 40s, you cannot find a single picture of him, a single painting, portrait, and we know quite little here and there about his life, but after this age we can imagine him very correctly. There are lots of memoirs, lots of stories, some of them are true, some of them are lying, and we can see him starting to be painted, and now we know how did he look. And that was the time when he tried to arrange his personal life too, but he fell in love with the housekeeper whose name was Fyokla, and they cannot marry each other because at the time it wouldn't be understandable. They had different social status, so they would just live together. And they had a daughter for whom he left all his money. He just wrote a testament, and all his money were transferred to her husband after his death. And this contrast between desires and real life, between moral, which is now widely accepted and which we teach our children, which we learn from this, versus still now during all these centuries which are passed, and real personal life is stunning actually for me. I always like to see the some kind of correlation between personal life and creativity. And for Krylov, it's so invisible, you almost cannot see it in his short poems in this Fabulas. You can see it in his other works, but here you can just find the concentrated moral and the concentrated witness, comparison, satire, and that's it. That's what would you see. Let's read another one. Let me know what is your idea. I'm very excited. Don't forget about your likes and subscribe for the channel if you're not with me yet. Случается нередко нам и труд, и мудрость видеть там, где стоит только догадаться, за дело просто взяться. Кому-то принесли от мастера ларец, отделкой, чистотой ларец в глаза кидался. Ну, всякий ларчиком прекрасным любовался. Вот входит в комнату механики и мудрец. Взглянув на ларчик, он сказал: ларец с секретом. Так, он и без замка, а я берусь открыть. Да-да, уверен в этом. Не смейтесь так из-под тишка. Я отыщу секрет и ларчик вам открою. В механике и я чего-нибудь достою. Вот за ларец принялся он, вертит его со всех сторон и голову свою ломает, то гвоздик, то другой, то скобку пожимает. Тут, глядя на него, иной качает головой. Те шепчутся, а те смеются меж собой. В ушах лишь только отдается. Не тут, не так, не там. Механик пуще рвется. Потел, но наконец устал. От ларчика отстал. И как открыть его никак не догадался. А ларчик просто открывался. Случается нередко нам и труд, и мудрость видеть там, где стоит только догадаться, за дело просто взяться. If the first saying it was about the monkey and the glass, and it was meaning that you don't need to be ignorant, it just shows you the ignorant person and you can hear it all the time. This one is a little bit more complex because it's based on the play of words, and it was saying the box was simply opened. And simply it can be in a simple way, or it can be you just need to open it. Just don't think over, don't overestimate the problem, just start doing it and just do it, it will be easier. And this is very interesting saying because I was trying to find where it's originated, and on the web, on some different websites, sometimes you can see that it's completely folk saying, and they try to explain it in different way without actually saying the original poem, without saying that it was a fabula written by Ivan Krylov. Which is, again, it's genius. If people think that it's their own, it means that the person who created it touched so many minds, touched so many hearts, and was very wit, pointing out on a very common problem. So sometimes you just need to do it, just start and do it. As for the biography of Ivan Krylov himself, after the fame came, the money came, he lived a quiet life, and his only big problem was obesity, because he liked to eat, and by the end of his life his weight was 168 kilograms. Of course, it caused the problems with health, and sometimes people even say that it was the cause of his death, which is not true. In fact, he died from a pneumonia, and at the end of his life he was in special curing institution for royal family. So his life was very interesting again, and interesting in the point how hardworking and how you should literally pursue your goal, try not stop, because for 40, starting from to write in the age of 14, only at 40 he became famous. Can you imagine how persistent he was? And sometimes persistent, hard work, and switching a little bit off from what you're trying to do because he wanted to be a playwright, that makes him as so huge example for us, and that shows us that sometimes we are just moving in the wanted direction, but we need to make a small turn, and then the success would be just right there. Let's read the last one, the last fabula which I choose for today, and I hope this would be a favorite because it gave us two sayings, not one saying like previous two, but two sayings which we commonly use in Russian language. Let's do it together. Когда в товарищах согласья нет, на лад их дело не пойдет, и выйдет из него не дело, только мука. Однажды лебедь, рак да щука везти с поклажей воз взялись, и вместе трое все в него впряглись. Из кожи лезут вон, а возу все нет ходу. Поклажа бы для них казалась и легка. Да лебедь рвется в облака, рак пятится назад, а щука тянет в воду. Кто виноват из них, кто прав, судить не нам, да только воз и ныне там. This one I remember from my early childhood. My mom was reading it for me. I wasn't even able to read at the time. And in my child's book, it was so interesting because this Swan and the Crayfish and the Pike fish, they were just moving in different direction. And now when we are saying Лебедь, рак и щука, the Swan, the Crayfish and the Pike fish, we are saying that it means that the team is not really good and the team is making the case worse than it is. It's about the team building. And the second saying we have from this short poem is that а воз и ныне там, the carriage is still on its place. It means that the efforts somebody is putting on something, they're completely useless and the situation is not moving, problem is not solving, they're doing something or they're just talking about something. In most cases, they're just talking about something and nothing is going on. That's it. Let me know which of these sayings is your favorite. Have you heard it before? You can also write me your favorite saying, maybe Russian saying, and let's see where it delivers from. Thank you for your attention. Special thanks for my dear patrons for supporting me on Patreon. If you are not with me there, please consider, because that's how I know that this videos matters and you like them a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to meet you very soon. Goodbye for now.